Welcome to the Lovestead.
Hello, welcome back to Lady Lovestead Reads. My name is Jessica and this is my September 2021 reading wrap-up. September was a busy reading month for me because I was reading for the BookTube Prize. If you're not familiar with what the BookTube Prize is, I will leave links with more information in the description box down below. At the time of this filming, I have not yet seen the results be posted, and until the final results are posted, you're not allowed to talk about what you think about the books. So it'll be easiest to start off this video just sharing with you what I read for the BookTube Prize. My neighbors are doing something outside, so there's that. The books that I read for the BookTube Prize in the month of September were The Prettiest Star by Carter Sickles, The Death of Vivek OG by Akwaeke Emezi, My Dark Vanessa by Kate Elizabeth Russell, The Vanishing Half by Britt, Bennett, and Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. With that out of the way, let's talk about the rest of the books that I read. I read Hummus and Homicide by Tina Kashian. This is a cozy mystery. It's book one of the Kebab Kitchen mysteries. I forget the main character's name, but it's about a woman who is an attorney and she decides to leave the legal field and stop practicing law, and she goes back home to her hometown on the coast of New Jersey, and her parents own a Greek restaurant. So she goes back to work at this Greek restaurant, and there is a food inspector that is killed just outside the restaurant, and of course they think that the inspector was poisoned. So what the main character does then is she uses her background in law to investigate the murder. And I enjoyed this. It's a good, solid, cozy mystery. I mean, there wasn't anything that I particularly disliked. I thought the characters were pretty well developed and lovable. There was a love triangle, which I don't hate love triangles if they're done well, and this one was done well. It felt like very natural that she would be interested in both of these guys. And did I solve the mystery in this one? Yes. Yeah, I solved the mystery in this one pretty early on. That's okay. I did give this book 4 stars out of 5. On audiobook, I was listening to the Goosebumps series. So the first one that I read was The Curse of the Mummy's Tomb by R.L. Stine, and this is the Goosebumps book number 5 in the series. And this is about a kiddo who visits his uncle in Egypt. His uncle is an archaeologist doing a dig in Egypt, and supposedly the uncle unearths a curse related to one of the mummies that he's dug up. And so then all of these things start happening, and the characters assume that it's part of the curse. I didn't love this one. This is definitely my least favorite book in the Goosebumps series so far, mainly because of how things turned out was based on a stereotype. So I gave it 3 stars out of 5. Next on audiobook, I read Pinocchio by Carlo Collodi. This is the classic fairy tale that the Disney film is based on, although Disney did take some liberties with it. And it's just a series of like short little adventures that Pinocchio goes on. It is originally written in Italian, and when I read it, I read both the audiobook and an ebook version, and the translations were different. And I think that really affected my reading experience with this. I think I would have enjoyed this more as a kid because I could have appreciated more of the whimsy in it. And then had I reread it as an adult, then I would have that nostalgia of rereading a story that I liked. And as an adult, I could pick up on some of like the morals of the story a little bit better. But because I didn't read it as a kid, the whimsy didn't quite land for me. I think that there was something lost in translation for me as well. It was probably better in the original Italian. I don't feel like I know enough about Italian history at the time that this was written to be able to really appreciate some of the symbolism and analogies that Carlo Collodi was going for. So I didn't love it, but I think a lot of it's on me and not necessarily on the book itself. I Buddy read this with Francois at Mr. Francie Reads. He also has some interesting things to say about it, so go check out his channel if you haven't already. I did give Pinocchio 3 stars out of 5. Next, I read The Shark Caller by Zillah Bethel, and this was Middle Grade Monthly's book club pick for August. This is about Blue Wing, who lives in Papua New Guinea, and her parents are killed, so she moves in with a man who is known as the village shark caller. And basically he has a type of magic where he can call sharks to him and builds a relationship with sharks. And there is a new family in town. Maple and her father moved to town. Her father is a professor who has come to Papua New Guinea to do research. So Blue Wing is then asked to kind of watch out for Maple and help her adjust to life there. And Maple does not adjust well. She really struggles with life on the island. You know, the mosquitoes, the heat, the noises, and it's a really cute story about this friendship that develops. And then there's a twist at the end that just shattered my heart into a million pieces and was just kind of mind-blowing. So if you're gonna read this book, read it all the way through. It was just really, really beautiful. The writing style was incredible. I will definitely read more of Zillah Bethel's work, because that ending, man, it got me. It got me in my feelings, as the kids say. And I did give this book 5 stars out of 5. Next, I read a book for book club through the Killing Time with Cozy's book club. The club is doing prompts for reading for book club instead of picking like specific books, just because everybody likes doing that a lot better. So one of the prompts for this month, in September I should say, was to read an author you're unfamiliar with. So for that I used Hummus and Homicide, because I have never read Tina Kashian. And then the second prompt was to read a book recommended by a friend. And so my friend Ro knew that I am reading the Coffee House Cozy Mystery series by Cleo Coyle. And so she recommended that I read the next one in that series. So thank you, Ro, for making that easy for me. And I read through The Grinder, which is number 2 in Cleo Coyle's Coffee House Mystery series. And the premise of this one is that there is a series of suicides happening to the customers of the coffee shop. And the main character in this does not think that they are actually suicides. She suspects that they are homicides. And so she's doing a little bit of investigation to see if she can figure out what is happening to her customers. I really enjoyed this one, but I did figure out the mystery. I want to read a mystery where I don't figure it out. I did figure out the mystery, and pretty early on, once again, and but I still really like it. I love the New York City coffee house vibe of this book, and I really like the characters in this book. I'm only on book 2, and I already feel really attached to this universe, which is why I read cozy mysteries anyway. Like, I don't read a cozy mystery for a thrill. I read it because I want that mundane experience of living in another person's life for a while, and this series definitely gives me all of that. So I gave this book 4 stars out of 5. Next on audiobook, I listened to The Kiss Quotient by Helen Hoang. This is about a woman who is on the autism spectrum, and she has never had a relationship. Her family is really pressuring her to get married and have kids. So what she decides to do is hire a male escort who can teach her about how to have sex and also just how to be in a relationship, in a romantic relationship. And I loved this book. This was a book that I had on my TBR for the disability readathon back in April, and I'm just finally getting to it, but absolutely love this book. I thought the autism representation was really well done. The relationship between the two characters was super sweet and heartwarming and validating in so many ways, and I just loved it. Absolutely loved every minute of that experience, and I gave it 5 stars out of 5. Next, I read the next book in the Goosebumps series. So book 6 was Let's Get Invisible by R.L. Stine. This is about a mirror that a group of kids finds in an attic of their home. And this mirror has a light bulb on the top, and when you pull the chain on the light bulb, you go invisible. And so you can imagine the kind of fun things that kids would do if they have the opportunity to be invisible. So that happens with this story, but it does turn out that the mirror is pretty sinister and not as nice as you would imagine. And, you know, it's a spooky book and spooky things happen. I enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars out of 5. Next, I read 56 Days by Catherine Ryan Howard. This was a buddy read that I did with my friend Angel at Angel Reads. I will leave a link to his information in the description box down below, as well as Francois, which, I mean, y'all know I talk about Francois all the time. So this is a domestic thriller, and it is set during the pandemic, right as the pandemic was just starting to become a big issue. Like March, April of 2020 is when this book is set, and it's set in Ireland. So these two characters meet each other and they start dating and they really like each other. But then the pandemic hits and everybody's going on lockdown, and they're like, well, how are we going to see each other if we have to go on lockdown? So they decide a simple solution to that problem is just to move in together for the 2 weeks that lockdown is supposed to last. It is a dual timeline story, so we're rotating between the present, which is focused on a police officer who has found a body in their apartment, and the past, which is the relationship and how it develops over time. And then eventually those two dual timelines meet up for the big reveal at the end. Oh my goodness, I loved this book. I loved this book. I loved the vibes of it. I thought that Catherine Ryan Howard really did a good job of illustrating all of the anxieties and concerns and unknowns that we were all feeling around COVID-19 when it hit. And I thought that the thriller aspect of the book was really good too, because it just builds up really nicely. I really liked the world. I really liked all the mystery around both of these characters. And the two police officers have the best banter that I've read between two officers in a while. And it was just like all the characters, I really liked it. I liked the vibes. I liked the ambiance. Like I said, she nailed all of the pandemic feelings and all of the things that you thought about, you know, going out to a restaurant and seeing all of the police tape around tables where you can't sit because they're spacing out the seating arrangements and just all of those things. She captured it so well. I've been really curious to see what kind of literature would come out based on the pandemic, because it is just ripe for good literature, and this is the first one that I have heard of, and she knocked it out of the park. So 5 stars out of 5, naturally. And I already want to reread it. As soon as I finished rereading it, it was like a couple days afterwards, I was like, oh, I miss Oliver and Sierra. Like I wanted to go back and spend time with the characters some more. So definitely recommend that one if you like thrillers. The last book that I read in the month was an audiobook, nonfiction, the only nonfiction that I read in September actually, and it's called Hidden Valley Road, and it was written by Robert Kolker. This is about a family of like 15 kids, and all of the males in that family, at least the children, all of the male children end up diagnosed with schizophrenia. And so this book is a really interesting look at like the history of schizophrenia, its diagnosis, its treatment. It looks at what specifically happened with this family and what they went through. It talks about research and studies being done on schizophrenia today and how we conceptualize and think about the disorder today. It was really complex. It did excellent social analysis, and it was like a combination of a social analysis and history around schizophrenia itself, and then a memoir of what was happening within this specific family. It was a really good mashup of that, and just very well done overall. I really liked it. I thought it was interesting, and I gave it 4 stars out of 5. That's what I read in September. Let me know in the comments down below what you read. If there's anything that you would recommend to me based on what I read this month and what I liked this month, I'm always open to book recommendations. If you just want to let me know that you are here, go ahead and leave some sort of medical related emoji in the comments to reflect this a book. I will have a video coming out soon about the BookTube prize books that I read and what I thought of them, so that is forthcoming. And until next time, make sure that you continue to read good books, drink good coffee, take care of yourselves and each other. Bye!